All right, hey everybody, this is Mr. Todd. I'm here on Stories and Solutions, and I have like a super special guest here, Chuck Dizzle. He has a homegrown radio, and he's on 92.3 The Beat, but all over what is it, like 40
Man,
different.
real 92.3 here in Los Angeles. iHeartMedia, obviously, across the country. So, yeah, up to about 45 to 50 stations currently on, and they're still adding now. So, I'm blessed, bro. I'm
Yeah,
blessed.
yeah, yeah. No, no, and believe me, I already told you all, but it's like this is a blessing for me as well. Like I truly I could tell you like how I found you, which is
Word.
yeah. So my nephew, he's quite younger than me, but he's like 30. And
Uh-huh.
we went, this is way back. We went to when Kanye had the Made in America tour. And this is like 2014, so like 10 years ago. And
Wow.
and yeah, and he was talking about different people, and then I'm telling you, like within like 3, 4 years, I was hanging out with him. Actually, the beginning of my podcast about 10 years ago, I went through different phases and he was part of it. And he started talking about YG and he kept asking me about Kendrick. And I was like, I don't really know who that is. And then when he started putting me on, I was listening to it and we hang out down in Westwood and get cookies and stuff. And he started talking to me about stuff and I make music. So I was like, oh, okay. And then one day, I'm telling you, this is gonna be like I want to say right around the pandemic, maybe before that, your name came up, and I didn't quite like it. Didn't I was thinking of when he said Chuck D. I
The
was
rapper.
thinking of yeah,
Public Enemy. Yep.
yeah, yeah. So I'm listening to him because I come from New York, so I'm like, oh wow. So I'm listening to him, blah blah blah, and then I Googled, and when I think you were just independent at that time. It wasn't.
Mhm.
I don't think you were on iHeart
No,
yet.
that's 2014. Well, if it's 2014, no, but within the pandemic, I was with iHeart then.
Okay, okay, yeah. So it was just like I was looking, and like I said, I have my podcast, and I was like going through different phases. But I was like, wow, I like this the way like when I see like how I said earlier, like when I see people that it's possible, like you make it possible to say, whereas I'm the guy that's like, nah, you can do this. But then there's always these doors of people that, in my opinion, that they don't know how to do it. And if they see you with the drive to do it, they'd rather close the door than to have you, pioneer something because it's not their idea,
Yeah.
you know.
That does happen, but I think a lot of that is based in insecurity and fear, and I don't know if it's because they don't want to or they just the door was shut on them. So
Yes.
sometimes, and from my experience, I've seen people like, oh no, it's not, man. You don't want to do that because of X, Y, and Z. Well, it's like, well, X, Y, and Z. Thank you for your opinion, but X, Y, and Z was your experience,
Yeah.
And I think there's two sides to the coin. There's some people um, that are malicious with it and try to withhold information, try to keep you back, and then there's other people that really just they're going off of their own experience and they really, for lack of better term, are ignorant because, like you said, they haven't done it and the doors have been shut on them. So they're trying to save you, but it's at the same time, it's like that's your experience, bro, or
Yeah.
whoever. You can't stop me from doing that. And it's so funny. I was talking to somebody the other day, and this conversation comes up because I've been thinking about my journey, my career, man. And this year marks 20 years, bro. Like since I've been on the pursuit, since I got my first internship to now working for three different radio stations within the Los Angeles market. And that's not the typical story for a lot of people that
No,
pursue radio, right?
no,
A
not at
lot of people
all.
that pursue radio, you have to go to a smaller market to build your way up. And there's nothing wrong with that because I was on that same journey. Like, man, if it doesn't work out here, when the first radio station that I worked for, which is 100.3 The Beat, when
Hmm.
within 3 years of that station folding, not necessarily folded, but they changed
Yeah,
formats.
they
And
changed it. Yeah.
yeah, it just left me in a spot where it's like, okay, well, they're chasing the older demographic. I just graduated high school. I'm the young guy on the team, and it's like they just put me on air, and they're like, yeah, we don't have room for you right now because you're a little younger, and the demo that we're urban AC at the time, so their demo was shot up to you know 45, 50, like it was an older demographic, right?
Right.
So it led me to not be on air. And I'm like, okay, I gotta pursue this job that I want, this career that I want. So I was okay with I put my air check for a lot of people that know this issue demo for radio, put my demo into multiple markets. And I didn't care where it was. It could have been in Montana, it could have been in Hawaii, it could have been in San Diego, it could have been in who knows where. I just wanted to be on the radio.
I
So
got
I
you.
was under the same impression of like, oh, okay, I got to work my way up, and I don't mind putting in the work. But here we are, 20 years later, and I haven't had to move to a different market, and have yet now I'm in multiple markets, and I have to
Yeah.
chase it that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So my story is different than a lot of other people's stories. So when the word you said is possibility, man, and I feel like that's one word and I'm glad you picked that up from my story because that's
Oh
what I
yeah.
always want to exude, man. It's just that, yo, it's possible. My story is going to be different from your story. Your story is going to be different from my story. As long as you
That's
pick up
right.
certain gems and that allows you to go for your story and your journey, cool. You know, it's just transcends like I don't know, it just transcends the journey for a lot of people because just it shows that okay, it's possible in a different way. Like not everybody's journey is going to be the same way. So
That's
I'm
right.
glad that you picked that up, man, and I really appreciate that for real.
No, 100%. I can tell you, like, I kind of said this earlier, but this is no different. I can tell you this. I'm older than you. So like my journey is, or I thought, honestly, I thought was over. Um, but I've been running into people and it's constant. Like I went to like voiceover school, Calvinson, all this stuff. I did internship at Power at this place down in Huntington Beach. I used to drive from the valley. So I know like I interned my wife actually that's how I met her. We were interning at Hits magazine and her father was on radio.
Wow. Wow.
You see? So when I saw like your growth and what you were doing, you may not know that at the time because you're on your train, you're going right. But you as a positive black person, a person that made it possible. I wish I could show you a picture of me. And it just made it where it wasn't manufactured, I guess.
Mm.
That's a better way I could put it. Um yeah, so well, this is a picture of my son and I, but you can see. So this was my hair.
Oh,
You see? So
yeah.
so seeing you,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like seeing me, you know. But honestly, like I see you like as a visionary. You have like just the fact that even when I was doing research, it was like the stuff, the way you speak, and then the way of like you weren't just thinking of now. You were looking at like um, I'm gonna have this media from what I'm doing here on my couch, and I'm gonna move this here. And I have like a little vision board over here, and I do the same thing. And that's what I mean. It's like you're doing this, but you're making it where I feel like the solution to there's so many people out there that do um, things that shorten their life, you know, shorten their happiness, and then they blame it on the system, where sometimes going against the system is by being your own. And, it's okay to be on that road alone because you're still going to make the same mistakes as you made when there's the other
Anyway,
people around, right?
exactly,
You know,
exactly. No,
so
and that's so true, man. And a lot of times we get caught, and I'm just transparent. Like I was the same way. Like even though I had the vision, I still had those moments of just be like, damn, this is like I know it's worth it, right? But just saying like, damn, is this really? I'm
yeah,
seeing my I graduated from college in 2005, so in that journey, initially, it was like, oh, that's the cool thing. Oh man, you work for radio, oh, that's cool. And then you graduate, it's like, oh, okay, all right, you got a job already, that's cool. And then 5, 10 years later, man, you still doing that radio thing, huh? It's like, and now, the friends that I'd had, a lot of them went on to get their master's degrees and doctorate degrees, had started a family before, on their second kid, oh, you still, hey man, congratulations, still doing that radio thing. And although they were applauding me and they were happy for me and they gave me encouragement, in the back of my mind, I'm like, damn, I feel like I may be missing out on life pursuing this.
Yeah.
But I had those moments where I would achieve success, or I would just get those reminders like, okay, no, you're on the right path. Like again, 2004, 5-ish is when I got my first gig, an internship that turned into a job at 100.3 The Beat. Started off in the promotions department, worked my way up, got on air within 2 years, which again doesn't happen for a lot of people. So I'm like, okay, wow. Like you hear all of these stories with people and they tell you, oh, it's going to take me 15, 20 years to get on air. And it happened for me within two. So that was the first, like, okay, hey, your story's different. That station folds. And I had to get a regular job. Moms was pressing me like, yo, okay, you tried it your way. It didn't work out. Sorry. You know what I mean?
Yeah. This is the real way.
For me. This is the real world. What are you going to do? Okay. And mind you, I'd had a real job. I worked for the city of Carson for all this time. So this was my, the backup. But these people that had looked at me since I was the age of 15, I first got my job over there, summer youth program. So I already had a job while pursuing radio.
Oh,
so,
okay.
But it wasn't a real job. I didn't have benefits or anything. This was part-time. So my first full-time job, I worked for Enterprise Rent a Car. I ended up getting a job, used my degree to get that job or whatever, because they were in a space then. They were hiring a lot of college graduates or whatever. So that was my real job at the time. And I just was so unhappy, bro. Like that job literally lasted 6 months. And I went to work every day, suit and tie, and was on a trajectory to be in a management role at that company. They have it set up for you where you can make a lot of money, benefits, and I wasn't happy, man. And I quit that job. And at that time, I had a college friend who was working. She landed a job as a promotions coordinator at K-Day. And she was like, man, I see you hustling and bustling. Like, I know you from K-Beach, which is the radio station in Long Beach State. She was like, man, I think you would be perfect over here. She was like, it's promotions, but I mean, I'm the promotions coordinator. I can give you a job on the street team. I said, bet. I just want my foot back in the
Yeah.
I just want my foot in the door. I'll handle the rest. Just let me get because prior to that, when the station at the time in 2007 is when I quit in January 2007. But K-Day had just launched like a year, 2 years before. 93.5.
Oh, that's when they came back.
So it was just this big, I'm like, oh, trying to put my resume in, trying to put my air check in. I'm like, hey, I work for the Beat and da da da. Closed doors, wasn't nobody fucking with me. And it is what it is. Didn't give my chance. So when she told me, hey, I'm now over there, I'm like, yo.
Yeah, I'm on my way.
Let me in. So that was the second time where I'm like, okay, this is my second time working for a station in Los Angeles. I didn't have to move. I worked my way up within a year to get on air there.
That's the universe, though.
It's God, right? It's the universe. Man. It's with constant reminders, and that's my point. It's like I'm thinking, man, is it worth it? But I keep getting these reminders, like, nah, stay on the path, stay on the path, stay on the path. The whole K-Day situation didn't work out. I ended up getting let go over there, and they were in the transitional period where they had let go of the on-air talent. They did this big consolidation where they fired half of the station in one meeting, right? Then they flipped the format. It's a long ass story, so I'll consolidate the story. But basically, they went back to just hip hop, but no DJ, just all music.
Just
no
playing.
on-air personalities. So the plan was, hey, we're gonna flip, but in about 4 or 5 months, we're gonna slowly bring people back on air. Well, they didn't do that, and that kind of got to me. I'm like, dude, here I am working for the station. I like it, but they're not putting me on air, and this is what I want to pursue. Like, this is what I want to do. And I think that was the biggest blessing because had that not happened, I wouldn't have gone as hard as I did for homegrown, right? Because
Mm,
homegrown was my college. I started that in college. And at the time me and Head linked up, that was around the time that I, was working with K-Day, had just gotten let go, and I was transitioning from being at the college station. And mind you, I told you I graduated in 2005.
right,
This is 2008, and they're still letting me do a show over there. I'm not a
right,
student. I still
right.
have a key card. And they're like, hey, man, didn't you graduate 3 years ago?
Oh, so then I
Yeah.
see.
So at the time, again, transition. I couldn't do my show at Long Beach State. Got hired over at K-Day. So I'm like, okay, cool, this works out. But then K-Day kind of fell through. I'm like, damn. And at that time, I just moved from one of my apartments. I moved out the house to an apartment in Inglewood, and me and Head had linked up. I'm like, yo, you met me in college while I was doing this. He was over at Long Beach City. I'm like, yo, can you focus on the music while I just kind of like handle the interviews and the talking portion?
I see.
I got a room over here in my apartment, and essentially I want to do the same stuff that we're doing at the college station here. Let's just run it.
Right.
And that was just our camaraderie, and things had worked out at that point. But had I not had the situation at K-Day not fell through, I would have
You
been
wouldn't
so
have done that.
focused on that and getting
Yeah.
my trajectory up over there. So again, biggest blessing. Years later, right? Head finds out that iHeart is bringing 92.3 back,
Mm,
and because they had went from Hot 92 Jams, and they were going to bring 92.3, real 92.3, and Big Boy was coming over from Power.
right.
He
Right.
caught wind of that and was like, yo, there's no way that there's going to be a station here in LA. Because mind you, he hadn't worked for radio stations before.
Oh,
He had a vision to be on radio also, but he was still in his grind. And the beat wouldn't hire him. He didn't get a chance to work at K-Day. He did some mixes for them here and there, but he wasn't an official like DJ over there.
so that's what
So
he wanted to do, or was he like
he
in the
always wanted to
music?
do radio. He
Okay.
always wanted to do radio.
And
It's
then
just
you
that
met.
his journey was by way of DJing. That was his entry point. Like
Okay.
he ended up working with glasses and all that out touring the country. That was his entry point into relationships and going to radio stations across the country, building
Yeah.
his network up over there. So when they say this is now 2014, 2015, there's gonna be a new station. He's like, there's no way that there's going to be a station here in LA now, and I'm not going to be a part of it. I'm like, hey, you my boy. I'm going to show you how to make an air check because people know you as a DJ. I know
That's
you as a
cool.
personality, but let me show you how to construct this air check. And then, this is what you want to walk into it when they hire you. This is how you want to make your shit sound or whatever. They end up bringing him on, hiring him. And when he got in, he was like, yo, if you're looking for other people, my boy is just as dope. He let them hear my air check, and it was like, oh yeah, have him come in here for an interview, and he alley me into the situation, and we were running ever
Nice.
since, man. So, again, I bring all that up to say, while I'm in the back of my mind thinking like, damn man, I don't know if this is worth it. These things continue to happen after those two stations that I worked for. That after that's it's usually a wrap. You got to go somewhere else and kind of work your way up. So for the third time for it to happen in LA, that was me kind of really surrendering. Like, all right, God, there's a point. There's a plan for me to be here. Whatever you got going for me,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it ended up working out. Where at the time they wanted to bring homegrown on, so we allowed homegrown to go into Real 92.3, and that was just the biggest blessing at the time. Yeah,
That's what I was gonna ask you was did you have to go to them to bring homegrown or they just
they
that
saw the footwork
that's
that
a
we had been putting it down. They saw what we were doing, and they knew that me and Head worked together in some capacity. So they were like, they know we were working together in some capacity. So while they're putting shows together, they're like, yo, this makes sense. You guys are
easy.
already on together.
Yeah.
Yo, whatever
Just a
y'all got,
bigger platform.
bring it over here.
Yeah.
Why not?
That's a
So
yeah. But
it
this
was
also
again. Good.
I was gonna say this also again like it shows you like okay you could take this situation and say man and give up and say man like they closed down this format changed but even so you still had the vision and that's why I said you were a visionary because it's like okay so me I taught well, I've been in like special ed, but I've been working as like a consultant now, and I sub and
Mhm.
uh in special ed. So 25 years. Now I do that because my love is like music and writing and like my t-shirts or whatever it is I do, right? So these are like my creative me.
Mhm.
Um and everybody would laugh and tell me like, "Oh, same thing." It would be like, "Oh, you still subbing? Oh, you still doing
Mhm.
this?" And they don't know what I'm doing
On the
on
side.
underground. Yeah.
Mhm.
And, so it's like all of a sudden they hear, "Oh, you have your podcast?" And yeah, I'm on like episode 135.
That's
What?
crazy.
Because I don't say anything.
Yeah.
It's so I that's why I told you, like you may not realize it, but you kind of like reaffirmed my inspiration in
Mhm.
myself.
That's
And
dope, bro.
yeah, because it doesn't happen much. And these are like I actually wrote down some things that made me wonder, like with you. You already told me how you and DJ had met, but you don't come across as a person that wants the rah rah. But do you ever feel like you may not have been recognized enough for like the contribution to like Kendrick and YG and like no like kind of catapulting, I would say.
Yeah, but so that's an interesting way of putting it because that's one of those things I go back and forth with. When I talk to a lot of people, that that's one thing that they say, man, you gotta put yourself out there, man. You gotta. And although I agree, my response is always, I don't mind, but I just got to do it in an authentic way that makes sense for me. You know what I mean? And to your point, verbatim, I've never been the rah rah type of, hey, look at me. I'm responsible for now. I'll talk my shit. I'm not gonna lie. Like somebody
You
asked
should.
me, I'll let people know. Like no, like I gave TDE one of their first platforms. Like
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
I'll stand on it. Right. And more importantly, they'll tell you that. So I think that's what's more important. If somebody
I
would have
guess, yeah.
asked them, and those are the biggest things. Like when I see Kendrick, like I saw him at the Not Like Us video. It's just that mutual respect. Every time we see each other, it's like, "What's up,
What's
man?
up?
Like,
Yeah,
hey man, it's good to see you." When
that's
I
nice.
got hired at Real, he had popped out at one of the TD Christmas joints. And Kendrick at this time was just kind of hard to find. He still is, whatever. But I seen him backside. Hey man, yo, I'm super proud of. He's like, yo, bro, I'm proud of you, man. You did it. I'm like, damn, you proud? Like, nigga, you were proud of me. Like, and I had to step back. I'm like, that's right. Like you saw from the beginning, we all started together.
Yeah,
So I that's still gonna be me. I'm still gonna have a level of like, if you find out, you find out. That it is what it is. But I do have to figure a way to do it where it makes sense because I think another part of this, as I get older, legacy is very important to me. And if you're not telling your story, who is?
yeah, that's
You know
true.
what I mean? Everybody has their own stories to tell, and if they happen to mention you, then great. But that's not guaranteed a lot of the times.
Right. And
So I'm very like. And somebody asked me the other day, man, what's up with the homegrown documentary? I'm like, damn, you're right. We have to put something together. We celebrated our 10 year back in 2017. And I was telling them I think the perfect time to actually put forth the documentary is on the 20-year anniversary in a couple of years. So I have footage and things of that nature, would want to tell the story. But again, that's an authentic way for me where people can kind of see, like, damn, you guys really have been doing this for a long time. Damn, I didn't realize you were responsible for this or had a hand in this. And I'll never take claim in that sense because I feel like no single person is responsible for somebody's success. As much
no,
as I'll take, the credit, Kendrick was going to be Kendrick. TDE was going to be TDE, regardless of if I stepped in or not. I'm just proud that we saw something in them early
yeah,
and, and was able to give them a platform at the time. You know what I mean? And more importantly, treat them with respect because you just never know who's going to be who, man. And I'm just so glad that it all worked out in the sense of like, man, I know that I'm a part of their story. And to me, that's all that really matters. But there is a portion of it where I'm like, in terms of legacy, I do have to make sure that those stats are there, for not only for the people, but for like my son when he gets older. When he's like,
Yeah,
oh damn, dad, oh I
that's
didn't
why I asked
realize.
you.
Yeah. So like that's why it's more important for me now thinking about it, because I do have two little boys, and
Yeah,
in the next 10, 15, 20 years and down the line when I'm gone, like I want something to be tangible for them to say, yo, that's my pops. Like he was a great man inside the house. This is a great, great individual. He's a great father. But yo, did you know when
this is
he's the first, homegrown,
yeah.
that's my dad. Like, and I want them to be proud of that. You know what I mean? And you can't do that without, poking your chest out, keeping your head up, and letting people know what you've done. So again, as long as it's authentic to me, then you'll hear more of the rah-rah, but naturally I'm just not that type of individual.
Yeah, I could tell. I'm telling you, I don't like I've been around hip hop obviously since the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
You're like I would pin you as the West Coast Fab Five Freddy.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
because I'm
That's an
telling you,
honor, bro.
I study people, and it's and it's like I just
Wow.
because if you think
That's
about it, like when you have Fab Five Freddy, you have was it Yo MTV Raps,
mm-hmm,
right? And then I think of like you and DJ Head. I would try to think of like Ed Lover and Dr. Dre kind of thing,
mm-hmm,
right?
mm-hmm.
Because they started off in this small, situation, and then it
Mm-hmm.
became this thing. And but it wasn't like for you guys, it's like the love was at the time back east. It was just, right there at home. And the same
Yeah.
here for you,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that's why I asked you because I feel like the people the people should if people say you discovered or not discovered but like introduced the cure to some ailment, you'd be in the books.
Yeah.
You see what I'm
Facts.
saying? So
Facts.
when you have like something where they say Diana Ross discovered the Beatles. She didn't. I mean, the Jackson Five. She
Mm-hmm.
didn't. It was Gladys Knight. Um, there's certain things like that where, you know, so and so discovered this person. I just felt like, you should have that distinction because without that, I don't think the amount of fans that is there, yeah, it would blow up, but you don't know radio wise of like regional versus being all over the place and
Mm-hmm.
so it's not taking anything away.
Yeah, no, not at all. Not at all. I mean, I accept that, bro. I accept it. I receive it. And like I said, the way I've been really that's confirmation for me of like, yo, man, again, it's okay to let people know. You know what I mean? It's okay to let people know. And again, I don't I don't feel like there's anybody or any entity that's been trying to suppress that. It's just the nature of what how life is. It's like, everybody has their own thing going on, so they're not necessarily focused on what Chuck Dizzle has going on
Right,
and
right,
with
right.
homegrown. It's like it. But the thing that I do love and respect about not just myself but our brand is like when I do talk to people or the conversations that I do have, it's very similar to what we're having right now. It's like the impact is more important. And it's like, you can't take that back. You can't fabricate that. You
Right.
might be able to fabricate the numbers, you might be able to fabricate the look and the deals and the situations. You
That's right.
can you can fabricate that, but you cannot fabricate the impact that you've had on somebody. You know what I'm saying? It might be a lesser number, but when I talk to people, I get that feeling. I get those goosebumps, and they tell me how the platform or myself has changed their lives. And I'm like, damn, for real? They're like, no, seriously, like whether it's been playing their music or introducing their music to a different audience or introducing them to music that changed their lives. It's like,
Hmm.
oh damn, I'm just providing a platform because it's a passion for me, because it's my outlet and I'm doing it for selfishly doing it for myself because I love it. But damn, okay, that feels good to know that I'm really changing lives in that sense. So and I hear that from people, and that feels good, and that's reassuring. So even hearing that from yourself today is another confirmation. Like, all right, man, like, yo, we got to step it up and put it out there.
Yeah. Do you see yourself like a role model?
I do, and I think that's happened again with me becoming a father. I've been more accepting towards it. Prior to that, I don't think I would accept the news like that. Like, okay, yeah, thank you, but
Not really.
not really. I just I think I would just let it roll off my back, right? But having sons just makes you appreciate like what that does for somebody, and again, how that changes somebody's life, and how somebody views you. So it's like I look at other people, not ashamed, like I look at other people as my kids now. Sometimes I'm like, oh damn, like I hope that if my sons don't get that from me, then maybe they get and not the way I'm trying to put it is, of course they're gonna look at up to me because I'm the dad. But as they get older, they're gonna have different role models and different people that they look up to. So my hope is like, damn, I hope that the person that catches their attention down the line, you know, because our kids, and you can attest to this, is like mom and dad are gonna be like, eventually, like whatever. They're not thinking about us like that. So I hope that the person that does catch their attention is as genuine of a person as I am, you
Yes.
know? So like that's how I look at it now. So now I take that responsibility a little deeper, a little more serious. Like, oh damn, okay, I have control of somebody's life in a sense. So
Hmm.
I have a responsibility to make sure that I conduct myself a certain way. That was a big part of the reason why I stopped drinking. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, I got other people looking at me. All right. For me, it's gonna, of course, for me, I have to do it, but the impact for other people, like it can have, you know, ramifications, like a deeper meaning for other people that are watching. You know what I mean?
No, I get you. Like you have the pressure to like get it right. Because my son, he's 13 and my daughter is 9. And whereas I think we all have levels of success or failure in our heads. And no matter where we are, we always say like, oh, I wish I was here so my family can, reap the benefits. But I've learned like if I watch you like on the Instagram, I'm usually commenting on there.
Yeah.
Um, it's genuine,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't feel like you have to get it right because you're doing it right. And then I was gonna ask you with like the sacrifices, for example, you have to leave to go do iHeart in Vegas, and then I saw that you took your son with you,
Mm-hmm.
and again, I was like, see, that's me. I would have been like, everybody, let's go,
Yeah.
and so it's like this I just see this where I don't even any interview or whatever it is, that's not my thing. I'm more of I want to make sure that uh person to person that when I connect with something, I hope like this was a dream for me. This to
Oh
have
man.
you on. I kept thinking like
Wow.
you have no idea. I kept telling my wife, I was like, you know, he's younger than me, but he's doing what I stopped doing to go get a regular job because everyone kept telling me,
To get a regular job.
yeah, like you're not gonna make it. And
Mm-hmm.
but I never stopped what I was doing. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I just do my thing kind of quiet, right?
And,
So,
and I think that's important too. And I'm sorry to cut you off, but
oh, it's
I
okay.
think that that's part of why the journey is beautiful for you, because although you may have gave up in some capacity, you didn't just say, all right, well, I'm done.
Nah,
You're
never.
doing it in your own way. Of course, you got a family to feed, you have things, different sacrifices and things that you have to do. And I feel like that's what's kept me sane within this business the whole time too. It's like, yeah, I work for this corporation, this station, this entity, this company, da, 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 but I've always had my own shit. I've always made sure that I had to pour into, so that if everything crumbles, I at least got this.
That's
You know what I
same.
mean? So it's good to see that you never lost sight of that. You know what I mean?
Nah,
You can
I'm
you
not
can
done.
Yeah, and what's so amazing about technology and just the way the industry is now, it's like, yo, you can literally get started now.
Hmm.
And it's like you have a fresh start. So like that's what's that's what's encouraging to me, because when I get in my head on certain moments, I'm like, damn, man, I think I missed opportunity at this, that, and the third. It's like, no, you can literally start today. And I've witnessed people that I know that have stopped for some years and started back up, and they're doing amazing with their platforms. And it's
There you
like,
go.
oh, okay, it's literally about just being consistent. It's about putting yourself out there, not stopping, and staying true to what's important to you, because somebody's going to identify with it, and it's gonna relate to somebody. You know what I mean? Even if it's
Yeah,
just like, even when we're doing homegrown at the apartment, it was 10 people in that chat, right? But those 10 people, we was rocking out with those 10 people. And
that's
now
right.
when I talk to people, I'm like, yo, I was in the chat room back in the day, man. I see what y'all did, and, how you guys are blown up now. And even restarting now when I'm doing live and direct, when you see me in the lives, it's not a lot of people in there, but it's my community. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I think that's important. It's amazing to build with like-minded people. So yeah, man, I'm glad that you haven't given up. There's gonna be roads here and there. And to me, I'm even more honored to be a part of this conversation, knowing that um, you view me in that capacity, bro. I'm really, really humbled by that, for real.
Oh, thank you. I it's just weird. It's just the weirdest thing. It's like I guess like if you knew me better, you'd understand me like in the sense
Mm-hmm.
of like it's because I told you from the beginning, like off air and everything, like I don't bullshit people. I guess just
Mm-hmm.
life. I'm not that
Straight
guy.
shooter, yeah.
Yeah. So like for me, it was like I remember I asked you, you were talking about something on this is last year sometime
Mm-hmm.
on the Instagram, and I had asked you um how do you in this day and age get back in to
Mm-hmm.
radio? And you said go on iHeart, look on and pick whatever they give you and work your
Mm-hmm.
way
And
in.
just work your way up.
Yeah. And I'm telling you the truth. It's like the fact that because there is the Instagram and then you have the fake, everybody's they want you to like buy their albums. They want you to listen to them, blah, blah, blah. And they may only have like 20 people responding, but you can ask somebody something and there's like crickets, right? And
Oh
it's
yeah.
right. And you, like I said, it was just from day one. It wasn't,
Mm-hmm.
I never felt like you were like talking on the side, like, man, this dude's bugging me.
Mm-hmm.
When I watch you on there, and like I said, just the fact of what you do, like for you to bring out things and you, because I see you, I'm pretty sure it was Tuesday night, right? When you,
Right.
yeah, and you had few months back, and you were doing your live, and then
Oh yeah, yeah. Every Tuesday, I was doing Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I went down to Tuesdays, the music room, live and direct.
yeah, 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 and I
Mm-hmm.
was watching you, and I was like, as I'm listening to you, I'm typing in, and it was like, I'm telling you, it made me feel young again.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, yeah, man, this is, and it's like I said, it was like talking to someone that I'm not looking on. You can't, it's hard to find pe people that are authentic
Yeah,
on social media because I'm not a social media guy.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I,
no, no, I agree. I mean, because what happens is, I think with, and it's, I don't want to bash social media, but what happens is a lot of projection gets put out in there where people feel like you have to make up this facade lifestyle, this fake it till you make it type thing. And it works for some, and that's their journey. But for me, it's just never been my cup of tea, because it's like, yo, for me, I'm outside. You're gonna really see me. So
yeah,
it's like, if
yeah,
I'm over here talking about I got this, that, and the third, and you see me, you like, man, Chuck look hurt. Like, it's gonna mess up the whole image. So it's like, yo, I'm gonna just be myself. When I record, you're gonna see me at my house. You're gonna see me in the garage, in my room. You're gonna probably see my sons walk in, and that's just what it's gonna be.
that,
But
but that's dope.
I want to hit on something that you said, man. And for me, I think it's important, because you said, you said something in the chat and you didn't expect me to respond, or you just didn't know how I was going, whatever, right? But I remember that being me when this was early in the days of technology, like when radio stations would just have webcams, right? They just only had
Hmm.
a webcam in their studio, and you would have to log online, like log onto the website. Very pixelated, was all messed up, but you could see the DJs in there. And then this is when emails became like the thing at the time, right? They had the jocks emails on the website. So I
Oh,
would
okay.
reach out to the jock, hey, I'm interested in doing what you're doing, or hey, I just just reaching out, and I would never get a response back. Now, I get it. I understand. There's probably people that reach out to me that haven't had that experience that me and you've had, and some people I may not have gotten back to or don't see for whatever reasons, right? So they might have that similar experience with me. But for me, it's always been important to make sure um, I'm attainable for people. You know what I mean? Like even when my early days of being on air, I didn't want to be one of those jocks that the on-air personalities just in the studio. Like you would see me at the Kingdom Day Parade. You would see me out in the
Yes.
streets, in addition to hearing me on air. So it was
Yeah.
always important for me to make sure I made that connection with people that were listening and viewing and just reaching out to some capacity because, that's again, before it was a term, it was like, yo, I'm building my community. You know what I mean?
Right.
And again, there's something that you may be able to do for me down the line. I don't know that. We don't know that. I don't know who or what you're going to end up doing in the next 5, 10 years. You
Hmm.
might be a program director for a radio station, and this station lights may turn off, and you might provide me with an opportunity. What you're going to remember is that interaction that you have with me from day one,
That's right.
and whether you're gonna I know you. I don't know you like that, but knowing you're gonna hold that to you like, okay, I remember that interaction we had, and I'm gonna make sure I provide the opportunity to somebody that was a little more pleasant. You know what I mean?
No, I
Um,
totally, man, I'm a karma guy.
exactly. So it's like,
All
and
day.
you might not project it in the same way, but you're like, I'm gonna remember that. I'm
Yeah,
not gonna
all
forget.
day
I'm
karma.
not gonna
It's
forget
like
exactly. So I mean, for me, that's why it's important though to make sure that when people reach out, and even if and this goes for people that want to do radio. This goes for artists that try to get their music on the radio. I tell people straight, look, I can't get your song in the air. What I can do, I have this platform where we could play it and let the people hear it. And people rock
mm,
with it. You may get a fan or two. You might get
right.
somebody that gets familiar with your music. And because I am here at iHeart, it's going to be a different. It's going to be a different, uh, um, not a different audience, but I'll be able to elevate it to my platform or whatever the case may be. But I can't just get your song on the radio like that.
Right.
And
Right.
artists appreciate that. Some do and some don't. But it's like for the most part, people, I mean, I appreciate you even listen to my song. It's like, hey, that's the least I can do, bro. Like
Yeah.
that's the least I can do and give you my honest critique of it. You know what I mean? And at
Yeah.
the very least, I might become a fan of it. And I might start writing with it just because to me, that's more important. It's like I'm supporting your record, whether I play it on air or not. I'm still gonna support it.
Exactly.
That's how it
Exactly.
was for Kendrick earlier. That's how it was for Nip when I first met him years ago. And if I like something, I'm gonna put people on it. Like, yo, I remember my cousin's gonna hate this. I remember when the Kendrick Lamar EP dropped, yo, I had multiple CDs. And I would just be because I just had it at the house, whatever. And I would just be handing them out to people. I gave one of my cousins, like, yo, you should check this out. No, whatever. And I was pressing him for years to listen to Kendrick. And he wasn't trying to hear it. And then finally, when things blew up, he was like, oh, this is what you was talking. Like, I told you. Same thing with Nip. I was telling him, I was like, around the same time, I was like, yo, this kid Nipsey Hussle was dope as shit. Like, Bullets Ain't No Name, Bullets Ain't Got No Name, Volume 2 had just dropped. And I would run into him at the station a few times. Um, and I had a couple of his mixtapes. I would hand them out to people. And if I'm a fan of you, I'm letting people know. And it's the same
Yeah.
thing now when it comes to like records that I hear now. I'm constantly passing music on to other people, whether it's sharing links or just making sure that people are aware of certain individuals that are out there.
Now that's dope. Okay, so you obviously a person about your community. Do you ever feel like within the community, like how do you say it? Because like how you said, you're visible. So, I was looking at this guy Malik Birdsong, the boxer,
Mhm. Oh yeah,
and he got
yeah,
hit, right?
yeah.
And it's like that situation where because it saddens me, but I do you ever worry about stuff like that where it's like because you're doing well, or is that like that it could be you could be in Beverly Hills and the same thing. I mean, it's just
No, I'm honestly I'm a little more cautious of it now. I'm actually a lot more cautious of it now, and I think because of again I'm a wrap it around fatherhood because now I have a reason to get back home. Shout out to my
right.
wife too. At the time when I got married, same thing. But even with her, I was still reckless in how we did stuff. And no, I'm serious. Like
I
we
get you.
had we were married, bro. Like, and we were living. We would have people in my apartment on Thursday nights, bro. Like random people. Now, when I think about it now, what the fuck were you? What
Yeah,
were
they
you
could just come
thinking?
back and yeah. But it's
I
because
don't, I don't.
that's your character though.
That's my character, but I think that that can also be a flaw because people can see how nice you are and kind of use that against you. But I try not to let it go too crazy because at the end of the day, I'm here to support, man. So it's like I don't mind going to different shows in different neighborhoods, and I think that I don't come with that energy. So I feel
No.
like you know, God willing, I'll be protected by that same, by that same energy. But to your point, it's like, yo, it can go up in Beverly Hills. It can really happen at any point. What am I gonna do? Just hide? Like,
Yeah.
I don't think I would get satisfaction doing that. Let's just say I don't go out and I'm just hanging with my kids all day. Yeah, I'll get satisfaction with that. Like, of course, I want to be with my family, but a part of I don't want to be a hermit either. I want to be outside and live and enjoy my life. You know what I mean? So, I do think about it when I think what really bring them up again, but I think what really like the switch was around the same time. My son was born in 2018. Nip got killed in 2019,
19.
and to see, we all know the how it happened, where it happened. That
Yeah.
really fucked me up because I'm like, dude, if one person gave a fuck about his community in recent times,
It
it's
was
that
him.
dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So when I see that, that's what kind of worries me. Um, But again, everybody's journey and situation and circumstance is completely different. You know what I mean? And I can't live and die by that either. You know what I
Right.
mean? If that's the case, then again, I could be afraid to walk out of this station in Burbank.
Yeah.
Anything can happen. Anything can happen. Um, but I think it's more important to me if I had to compare one of the two, the impact that I want to have, I want to be visible to the people. To me, that possibility is being able to say, man, y'all seen Chuck. He was at, y'all shook hands with him. Like we broke bread in person. Like that's the type of impact versus, oh yeah, I just heard him on the radio, man. And not to say that one is different than the other, because that can still have an impact. Somebody can hear my words or, hear the way I support something or hear me put them on to information and it can be still as valuable. But for me, it's important to really be with the people. You know what I mean? And there's
Yeah.
no way you can really do that unless, like I say, no way, but the way that I want to do it is by being literally with the people out in the field.
Yeah. So, because I see you as a person that, um, like you, uh, it's a weird question, but I'm asking you this for a reason. I look at like, okay, um, East Coast hip hop, for example. When I was growing up, I told you I'm older, so it's like the I started off with that, don't push me because I'm close to the edge, and then even with BDP, but all
Mm,
this stuff was about the community and like how do I make it better?
mm.
Um, then obviously we had a switch. Now, today, I feel like because we're older, like, do you feel like there should be a spot in hip hop where it's like we allow, even if you are an OG, like we allow the growth and and to be able to speak on like, yeah, I used to do this, but now I built this store, like how Nip did his thing. But it's like spoken on, as far as it's given the youth a door instead of saying you don't have to try to be like what I was trying to be. Do you feel like there's a responsibility there, or because of the link with everybody, or is it
I
just
think that it's a responsibility, but I think that it's the access to information, right? And I think now there's more access to information to see that. Before, if Nip, if this was 20, I'm sorry, 20, even 2000, if this was the mid 90s, we wouldn't get that same story from Nip. We wouldn't be
yeah,
able to see it because we wouldn't see that he had a store on Crenshaw. We wouldn't be able to see just because of the way technology was, I mean, let's just think of, let's just look at Pop. A lot of people don't know a lot of the stuff Pop was doing until years after he passed. The stuff that he was into, his background, like, if you were close to him, you knew, but the
Hmm.
masses didn't really know until documentaries after he passed. I feel like now, you see all that information in real time. I mean, look at somebody like Snoop, hate or love him, however you want to look at him, you can look at him as a walking contradiction. I look at him as somebody that's possible. It's like, yeah, okay, he might be crip walking over here, but damn, he just hosted the Olympics. Like, that's
I
just, to
get you.
me, that's amazing. I was having an argument with somebody the other day about, not an argument, but they were like, they were being critical on one of his latest albums. It was like, man, he grandpa talking about da, da, da. I said, yeah, but he has a record talking about growing up. Like, I like that he carved the song out for that. Yeah, but he got a Dickie suit on it. Okay, that's cool, but that's his story. That's him, right?
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
I
So
like
just
that. I
let
like
people
that.
be.
I mean, it's let people be, and whoever can get a message out of something, I'm not gonna say whoever, but it's like, if I can extract something positive out of the situation, let me have that experience with the person. I feel like now with social media and as much access that we have with people and their brands and who they are, that's more the outside of the music. I think you get that more than you would have back in the day. Now, the problem with that is that there's so much information, you kind of have to seek it out. So you might not hear it on it. You might not hear it on a radio station every other hour on the hour. You might get one or two songs every now and then, but even then, here's the thing, bro. Even with I'm trying to think of a good example, because I can guarantee you right now there may be a song on the station. I would have to go look at the charts. There's probably a song that we're playing right now that has a positive message to it that we're playing on the hour every hour. But people are gonna look at the other nine songs and be like, man, y'all playing bullshit.
I got you.
Or a said artist, right? You can always tap into their
Like their
catalog.
catalog. Yeah.
They might have something for the radio that's got you jumping and bouncing or whatever. But it's the other song, like Kendrick is a good example of that. It's like, he has certain songs that's on, like Humble. The Humble video just had 1 billion views. It just reached 1 billion views. Humble, Kendrick Lamar,
That's it.
right?
Yeah, yeah. Contradiction of words.
Exactly, right? And that's one of those records that it's more of his more commercially successful songs. But if you dig into his catalog, you'll hear songs like Dedicated. You'll hear songs, off the Damn album, like that. The other 11, 12 songs on there, Pride, God, you know what I mean? All these other songs, if you dig into it, there's a message, there's substance. And even with Humble, there's some substance in there too, if you really break it down. So it's like everybody's gonna have an argument about something. It's like, for me, I always look at, okay, but what's the positive of the situation? And
There
that's
you
kind of
go.
always my mind frame. Just always figure out what the positive. Now, there may not be some in some cases, but I always choose to see the positive in the situation. And I feel like you can say it's responsibility for us, but at the same time, even when you put it out there, will the audience receive it, and will people
True.
appreciate it? You know what I
True.
mean? You're a fan of the product of the '90s, right? And there was a lot of variety then, um, but I still feel like you still had you still had Congress people running over records and
Oh yeah.
boycotting. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it's like you
Oh
still
yeah.
had the duality of,
Maxine Waters, Ice Cube,
you had
burnings.
all of
Yeah.
that. You
Yeah.
still had that. You still had people like talking about hip hop as if it was damnation for all of mankind. But it's like that was the most versatile it was.
Yeah.
You had a strong messages in there, but all people were focused on was the negative. It's like, yeah, you can focus on NWA, but what about Arrested Development? Like, we're
That's why I was asking you because I feel like there's almost like a revival needed.
Mhm.
There's this point of it because I've said this before, but um
I'm sorry to cut you off. The revival is the internet. Now
true,
you don't have to
true.
worry about the right now, unless you want to be a superstar, you don't have to worry about, if you're an artist. Let's talk to the artist.
Yeah.
Unless you want to be a superstar, like a household name,
Hmm.
you don't need radio.
Nah, you just be
There,
your own.
you can be your own. Same thing I was telling you. Like, you don't have to work for a radio station. Now, if you want to
Right.
work for iHeart, that's your dream and that's your journey, that's your goal. Like, by all means, here's a website. Go here, check it out. But you can start your podcast today and probably get more plays than a radio show, or become more successful, or make more money than a radio host. Whatever your goal is, it's
Yeah.
achievable nowadays. And the same thing with the music. It's like, there's tons of talented artists out there that have messages in their music. Will they see the radio? No, but there's YouTube and you can actually view their music. Like,
That's
there's
right.
all these streaming
Spotify.
platforms to
Yeah.
catch their music, to listen to it, to consume it, and more importantly, to share it. So my
Yeah.
thing is, if you see something, yo, be the change that you want to see. Share the information that you want so badly for people. And I try to stress that to the audience as well. It's like, yo, you there it's dictated on numbers. And if there's a song that comes out, and with the radio specifically, if people are turning the station or not listening when a certain song comes on, they get that shit the fuck up out of here.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so it's you got to be very careful with that messaging, and just understand it's more important for the audience to support the shit that they love, or the shit that they claim that they want to hear and see. It's more important now than ever. But on the other flip side, it's like, there's so many options to actually consume music these days where it doesn't even matter. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I really like your attitude. It's really I'm telling you, it's just different. Like there's so many people that it's I guess what it is you're not you really are like for the culture. It's not I don't see it as your job. I see it as something you live like
It's
that,
exactly,
you know?
exactly,
Um
exactly.
yeah, and that's what like I said, I was drawn. It was, like I have like these weird questions for you. I know you gotta
That's cool.
go.
Go ahead. No, no, go ahead. Go ahead. You good?
These are just fun questions. I have them at the end of the show.
Go ahead.
Um, so what do you do for relaxation?
The gym.
Oh,
Believe it or
okay.
not, I'm okay. To give you a little context, uh, I grew up with asthma. Never played sports. Played sports a little bit, but I never was good at it. Right? Never when I played football or basketball, or at least attempted to. I was never good in traditional fucking sports, right? So I never really got into it like that. Around 2010, 2012, I that for I'm so glad that this happened. I grew out of it. I used to have
Mm,
ha- I used to have an inhaler with me at all times. And in 20, like around the time we were in the apartment, I didn't re-up on my latest medication at the time. And I noticed that I hadn't been using my inhaler as frequently. Like, oh, okay. I'm not gonna be so pressed to go um, refill my prescription.
uh,
And I looked up, it had been a year, and then 2 years, and then 5 years. And I'm like, shit. So I could participate with more of the activities. I was never a gym buff or a gym rat. So I just started going to the gym. It's been like four years now, but actively the last few years. And for me, that it sets my day off. Like I like to go in the morning versus going in the afternoon or at night. Um, and it's just it's I look at it twofold. One, for relaxation, right? To just kind of get my energy out there, like just release a lot of energy, a lot of tension, or whatever. And I've learned, I've relearned how to discipline myself.
okay.
Discipline is the one singular thing that I could say has made me a successful person, right?
Mm. Because it kept you going?
It kept me going. It kept me focused. It kept me sharp. When I was doing my radio show, I mean, of course, I would go out and party and do other things, but that was my sole focus. The radio show. I'm work for the station. I got an event over here. I'm just focused on that. That was my only thing. So with going to the gym, I had to learn things that I wasn't good at, and slowly get better at it. And I'm like, oh damn, now I'm starting to physically see the difference. Oh
Mm.
shit, okay. I weigh now, I'm still skinny, but I weigh now, I weigh the most that I've ever weighed in life now. And I was stuck at a particular weight for years. So it's like, and by the way, I'm still skinny. I'm not sitting here like I'm fucking muscle man and shit.
Look, man.
Yeah, man, shit, that's why I'm feeling it, bro. But I'm just saying, it's allowed me to see a different. It's allowed me to tap into that discipline a little bit more. So I mean, obviously with the family relaxing, but I would say the gym has really helped, and running, the gym and
Oh,
running,
okay.
running has really helped too. Running again, having ads and not being able to do that. So now I found a new love for it. Participated in the half marathon last year. I'm gonna do the LA marathon in March.
Nice,
And it's just, it's a whole new focus that I have, bro. But yeah, that's
nice.
what I do. And sorry,
That's okay.
documentaries. I love documentaries, man. When I do sit up
Yeah,
and watch it, I love documentaries. It doesn't matter what documentary it is. If it's something about somebody's life, um, I'm prone to watch it.
you watch it. Yeah,
I'm
I'm up all
watching it,
night.
bro.
I'm up
Yeah,
until like 2. I usually go to sleep at 2, and then I get up at 6, and then I go to work.
yep.
But because I'm always doing, like I told you, I have my other stuff to do. Like
Mm-hmm.
this is me. It's just me. But
Mm-hmm.
it's funny you said that. So I grew up with asthma. When I moved,
Get the fuck out of here.
I swear to God. My kids have asthma. My wife has asthma. But for some reason, I lived in Palmdale for high school,
Uh,
and I would get asthma attacks every. My sister went to the Olympic trials for track. So my mom was like, "Oh, she got a scholarship. You got to run track." Well, I didn't do well. I
of
wasn't.
course not. You're struggling for life.
But
You're just
yeah,
trying to
so
breathe.
well, yeah, and people hated me because I would always get carted back because I couldn't, run,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right? So like I grew out of it as well, but I think it was because I was swimming. Like swimming made it, I think it easier for me. I'm not sure,
Really?
but I dance and like I was like I'm a real like Michael Jackson nut, I guess, like
Uh,
as far as the dancing and everything. So it makes you regulate your breathing.
oh, damn, I didn't think about that.
Yeah,
I
so
didn't
it's
think
like how
about that.
you said
Yeah,
that, like with the motivation, it was like
yeah.
you said you were disciplined. I wanted to learn how to dance like him so bad that even if I had asthma, I knew how to slow
Ooh,
it down. I
that's
knew,
crazy. Yeah.
yeah.
See, I didn't even look at it that way. The way I combated it was just to avoid all physical activity. And then I realized one day, like I'm like, oh shit, this used to make me breathe heavy, and it's not doing it no more. All right, all right, so let me try running real quick. And I used to be
Yeah.
panting right now. And then from there, just that's when I decided not to refill my prescription. But wow, that's the similarities are crazy, bro.
I'm telling you,
Skinny,
you're me
asthma.
10 years. I'm telling you, it's like it's
Oh,
the weirdest thing.
that's crazy.
I had another question was you said okay, so I know you said you were sober 8 years.
Mhm.
So like you know what made you stop, but do you know what made you start?
To be honest, man, I don't. What? It's not deep. It's just like peer pressure. The first time I got drunk that I could remember, I was 16. I went to a party with my friends, and it was just a house party.
Mm,
It was just one of those house parties, hanging out with my friends, and they had the drink on them. So it was just like, okay, cool. And even then, it was not like, oh, caught the bug to drink. Like, okay, cool, social activity. And when I got to college, partying in college, and I think I think what I can say is around the same time when I was pursuing radio and all this, in my mind, at a particular moment, I felt like it helped break the ice, right?
mm.
It helped. It gave me this persona, like, oh, I can be myself. I can loosen up. You know what I mean? But it wasn't the core reason why I drank, but it started to weave into my identity. It was like, oh, Chuck gonna have a drink. Chuck gonna for
Oh,
sure
okay.
have like at my dorm. I was the one that was always part. People knew that you can come to my room to have a good time. You know what I
I
mean?
got
People
you.
knew when they came to interview, even though We was at Long Beach State. I had drink on me, so it's like I was known for that. So I think a part of that identity gets wrapped into you. But it was no singular idea of like, oh man, this happened in my life, so I'm going to pick up the bottle. Now, obviously, when you do have traumatic situations happen in your life, you try to numb that pain, right? I lost my best friend in 2006. I lost my father in 2011. So those
I'm
were like
sorry.
really two dark times for me where I felt like you know that was I can look back at it and say I was definitely trying to medicate and numb the pain at the time. But the people that I was around, that was our fellowship. That was our community. So like when I would be at work, when we were off, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
We would drink. You know what I mean? And that was
yeah.
that was my fellowship with my brothers at the time, man. So it was like I associated a lot of good times when it came to drinking. So I think that the better question for me was the reason why it was hard to dissociate or detach from it for so long was because I felt like it was a part of who I was, and like it brought so many people around.
Mm,
When artists came to the studio, that was a way for me to bond with them. That was a way for me to have them open up. All right, let's take a shot together. All right, here's a drink. Or when I was with, getting off for work, man, long day. Woo! All right, let's go crack a cold. You know what I mean? Like, all right, let's go turn some music on. I'm gonna put you on some music. You put me on. Like that was just our way of fellowship. And so I associated a lot of great times with it. So when it was time, when I started to realize, like, ooh, it might be a problem. That's when it became a little difficult to say, okay, can I detach from this? And I went through many, many, many years of stopping, starting, stopping. Stopping for a month, 2 months, going back harder, stopping, a few months, stop, going harder, and then a couple of events where it's just like, okay, I got a DUI in 2009, 2009, around the same time I was working for K Day, and that was the first time it was like, okay, bro, slow your roll. Like, what's going on here? Um, so yeah, I mean that was like when it started to get real. Like, yo, you might have a problem. You might need to
mm,
address this. And then thankfully, years later, I was able to kind of like just nip it in the bud. But I will say this too to anybody that's on that journey, it never just goes away. Don't think for 1 minute if you stop drinking, whatever journey that you're on, you may see somebody like myself that's 8 years. Salute to the homie Siege. He just posted, Siege Monstrosity producer. He just posted that he's 2 years sober. And I
okay.
remember when we were at the apartment, that was our bonding experience by drinking. And so when I first started stop, he would reach out, just kind of ask me like, what did I do? But I think I was so far ahead at that time that it kind of discouraged him because it was like, damn, I'm only 30 days. I'm gonna
Mm,
celebrate that 30 days. You know what I
right.
mean? Because that 30 days is gonna turn into 2 years. That 2 years is gonna turn into 5 and 10 and however long. But you still gotta keep that regulated and in check. You know what I mean? People ask me all the time, like, do you still get tempted? Hell yeah, I get tempted. It's
You-
just that the things that will me are greater than wanting to crack that bottle or take that sip again these days. But yeah, man, I think there was no singular thing that made me want to start, but it was, what kind of held me back from stopping for some time.
No, that's interesting because, like, I'll say because that's like social, uh, drinking to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so like me, my dad drank a lot, like growing up,
Mm-hmm.
so I didn't want to. But when I started doing music, this was like 93. I was terrified of being on stage. So I was the producer, my friend was the rapper, but he's Filipino. So I was like his hype man. So I was like the two to three Long Islands before I get on stage kind of guy. And I'm only like 150 pounds. So I'm 6'2".
Wet.
Yeah, I'm 6'2". So, but I was never messed up. So my friends
Really?
would always be like, how do you do it? Like, how do you? And it was just, I was so much of I have to be in control of what I'm
Mm-hmm.
doing that, yeah, I could be a little goofy, but I
Yeah.
wasn't like falling down or nothing like
You weren't
that.
belligerent with it. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
But once
Well,
we stopped, oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, no, no. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say once we stopped, I remember coming home and the next morning my clothes smelled like vomit. And I was like, I don't want to smell like this. Like I just
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, and that was it. And I mean like occasionally I can go and have one, but I don't really crave anything. I'm more like a cannabis kind of guy. Like just
See, and what's so I'm gonna get into that in a second. But for me, the what's going somewhere with it? Oh fuck, I lost my train of thought. Lost my train of thought. It was something about we were talking about my tolerance had changed. That
mm,
was the biggest thing. My late teens, 20s, my tolerance changed. And then the moment I hit 30, the shit that I used, because I was the same way. Like I wasn't crazy with it, but I had a nice tolerance. So it was like, even though I was small, I could hold my liquor very well.
okay.
And I knew what my limit was. So I would always, depend on the situation where I was at, was like, okay, now we're not doing too much. We're not doing that. But when I got 30, the the threshold that I used to operate under significantly dropped. So we're
Mm,
talking, I didn't have, like, before it was like hard alcohol and like mixing my liquors would be bad. So I knew not to do that. I got 30, it was like, oh, okay, those two shots that you used to have, that'll get you going. Or that, those three or four beers that you could take down a case before, now it's two or three, and you'll be feeling like, damn, like that's it. So it was, again, I had to kind of be introduced to, like, yo, it's the dynamic is changing, and you can eat. And I also had family members who were alcoholics, so I
mm.
saw my older uncles. I saw what I didn't want to be.
Yeah, my
It was
dad.
cool at the time. So, oh man, we can drink together. But I saw what I didn't want to be. I was like, yeah, this is not going to sustain. I can't be 50, 60 doing this shit. It's not, yeah, they might have a high tolerance, but I also know that you can't function without this. Like, if you stop, so does your internal organs. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
we're not doing that. So that was another reason why I was like, okay, let me cut that shit, because I don't want my body to be dependent on that. You know what I mean? one
yeah.
of my one of my buddies, this is a real moment. Like, we worked together, and I swore this dude was 20 years older than me, and I was making a joke. I said, "Yeah, man, this is like in my 20s." I said, "Yeah, man, so man, you gonna be 50 soon." He's like, "50, motherfucker, I'm gonna be 30." I'm like, "Oh shit, this ring got you, dog. Like, you was all the shit." I was cracking on him. I'm like, yeah, you might want to
Wow.
put that shit down, bro. Like, you're about to be 30. He
Wow.
looked 50, bro. But it was due to the alcohol. You know what I mean? He
Yeah.
himself, and he was known as the drinker of the crew. So yeah, man, I kind of, that, again, that vision. I saw certain things, like, even though the part of me today, I'm like, yeah, I don't see myself doing this until, it's just not going to sustain. That if anything else, I'm going to take myself out if I don't stop. You know what I mean? So that was a very important reason. I was like, yeah, let me leave that alone. But to the cannabis shit, real quick, that's one thing we're not alike. I I've always been a super paranoid person, bro.
Oh,
When it
okay.
comes to that, so I mean, I dabbled into it, but that's never been my thing, dude. Like, out here and there, but I have my strongest limits with that, and I know now I'm
What
leaving
to
that
do?
alone. I'm cool. I don't partake like that. I don't do it in social settings. If anything, I might hit something right before I go to sleep, and I know I'm going to sleep and I'm done, because the paranoia for me kicks in. I don't like that at all.
Wow.
Oh, at all, bro. At all.
See, I'm paranoid, but it doesn't I think because I think too much. So like it makes me slow down. Like, as far as like
That shit revs me up.
really.
It's
So
weird,
so
bro.
so there's one called sativa, which will do
All
that.
that shit, I'm
All of
telling
them?
you,
You don't
all of
know.
it. Everybody coming, man, do indica, bro. No,
Yeah, because that's
indica
the one
does
that's for
that.
your
Nope,
body.
nope. To me, that shit get in my body, and it's like,
The
I'm gonna send you
devil.
this meme. I'm gonna send you this meme. There's something that goes, I'm gonna show my wife today. It's like, goes, it does to me, bro. I'm cool. I'm cool on it.
That's funny.
More power to anybody. That's their
That
thing.
could
But
do it,
for
huh?
me, it's just not for me, bro.
So I know you gotta go, but what was your first hip hop record?
Uh, my first hip hop record was. I'm trying to think. There's a story that I always have, and I'm trying to think that I listened to something before then. And no, the first record that I remember purchasing with my own money at the time was allowance. But I bought the cassette single of Dr. Dre and Snoop,
Oh, okay.
Dre Day. Well, actually, it was
Mm.
Dr. Dre, Dre Day. Now, I had known about NWA, but that wasn't really my era. Like I knew about Dre and Easy, but I was too young to really connect the stories until I got older. I remember driving to Vegas with my older cousin, and I remember they had just the split had just happened. He was explaining the story of um Easy and Dre and Ice Cube. He was explaining all that, but I couldn't make that connection. But I do remember when Dre Day was played on the radio, and I bought the single cassette with my own money at the Rhodium swap meet, and my neighbor's dad took us. We would always go to the Rhodium swap meet every Saturday.
Okay.
So that particular week, I got the cassette, and he's asking, "Oh, what you guys get?" So I got this cassette. Dr. Dre said, "Oh, okay, put it in." And I'm thinking, I want to say like 7 at the time. I'm thinking the radio version is gonna come on. Well, the
Oh,
dirty version comes on, and I didn't know that it was a dirty version of the song. And so he's like, "Man, gap teeth in your mouth, so my dick's got to fit with my sack on your tonsil." And he's like, "What the fuck is this? Are you guys listening?" So I was like, "Oh, that's not the version. I didn't know." And he was like, "Yeah, take this shit out." Took it, and he ended up letting me have it still. But that was my
that's
my
funny.
first introduction to, like, I would say hip hop in the sense of, like, that was my own. Now, of course, my sister was a little older, so I would hear records here and there, but that was the first singular moment that I remember. Oh shit!
Wow.
Okay, this is these are the stories that I used to hear about. Um, you know, when Richard Pryor and people wouldn't let their parents were like, it was a thing when my parents would listen to Richard Pryor on the vinyl, and it was a thing when my older sister couldn't hear it. Or so that was my moment of like, oh damn, this is good but not good, but damn, this is hip hop. This is like, and I loved it from there, man.
That's cool.
Yeah,
I'm gonna show you funny thing with age wise. So that would have been what, 92,
90, yeah, not no
93?
91, 91,
Uh-huh.
92. Because
Okay.
yeah, not it might have been 91 going to 92.
Okay.
Yeah,
So I
because yeah,
saw I
Snoop
saw
came out in 19. Sorry.
I saw your interview with Snoop.
Uh-huh.
Right? And so if you ever ask him, if you ever talk to him, 1993, Best Western Hotel, uh he had a flat top, and he had there was a showcase. It was him, Dre, um Warren G, and Mr. Grimm. And me and my friend were opening for Warren G and Mr. Grimm.
Get the fuck
That's how
out of
old,
here.
yeah,
Are
that's what I'm
you
telling. He
serious?
wasn't big yet.
So this was before you said this is before.
Yeah,
No, he
I
was
know
so
he
he
had a
was he
flat
was
top.
with them. He was with them at the time, but
Yeah.
he wasn't. So his album definitely wasn't out. But was he signed to Death Row at the time?
I want to say so because a friend of mine told me, "Oh, that's Suge Knight," and I didn't know who it was.
Oh, so
But
yeah.
yeah, but I
Damn, that's
remember it was
crazy.
Warren G, Mr. Grimm, and
That's
they were
crazy.
getting into it on the stage because one guy's mic was not working, and my friend was like, "Hey, what are you gonna do?" I was like, "You're the rapper. I'm just I'm just pushing."
That's wild, bro.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
So
crazy. Now you
that's how long
this hip
ago
hop. That's fire though, man. Now you got history of this thing. No, that's amazing, man. Yeah, I think the first time I met Snoop was at the Poly Apartments. a couple of my buddies actually stayed there. And I was getting carpool at the time. So they were getting dropped off and he was just out there. And this is after, Doggy Style came out. So, but he
Oh,
was still,
really?
yeah, this is
He
like,
was popular.
he was fucking Snoop. And I'm
Yeah.
like, yo, yeah, you go over there, I get his autograph. I ripped off a piece of paper from my notebook, get an autograph, and come home. And my mom threw that shit away.
Really?
Mom threw that shit away. She didn't know who he was, and it
Mm.
just looked like a scrap piece of paper with it, some writing on there. It was so funny. I had even faxed it to get a copy of it. Like, you have fax machines. I made a copy of it,
Yeah.
and my mom was a neat freak, so she saw a mess, and she just threw that shit away. I'm like, and she
Oh.
loves Snoop now, but it's like at the time, she was like, look, like she kind of knew who he was, but she was like, man, whatever. Like this is just trash. Like, what are you doing?
Did you
But
tell
yeah,
him that story?
you know what? I didn't tell him that story. I don't think I told him that story. And I've seen him a couple of times. It's so weird, like with celebrities, and you kind of notice too. It just depends on the moment in time and when you bring certain things up. If there's a moment for it, then cool. I think I told him about the cassette tape, the Dre Day, but I didn't get a chance to bring that up. That's on my bucket list. Next time I'm gonna let him know for sure.
No, that's cool. Like it
Yeah,
because it goes full circle, right?
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I told him I was like, yo, you were the first cassette that I bought. Matter of fact, the interview, I don't know if the one you talking about is the one with Dog Pound, right? Dog
Yeah.
Pound and Snoop.
No, it was well, I saw it was DJ Head, you, and then Snoop. He had on the blue bandana.
Yeah, so it was. I think it was a. So if you go look on YouTube, it's a full interview of Dog Pound. It's all three. It's
Oh,
Snoop.
for
It's
the
Dre. It's Snoop, Daz,
corrupt.
and Corrupt. So what I was telling them that the first cassette that I bought was Dre Day, but the first album that I bought was Dog Food with my own money.
Oh,
So
dang.
I was like, I told the sound like, yo, this is a full circle moment
Yeah.
because
I
first,
have that on
this is
cassette, by the way.
crazy, right? Crazy, man.
Yeah.
Actually, no, I bought that on cassette. I bought that on
Yeah.
cassette too.
I have that on cassette. Yeah.
Man,
I'm way back in the day.
that's
So
wild, bro.
yeah,
So
but
you know what's funny about that? That was before, and I'm sorry, I'm getting long winded. My bad.
no, it's all
But
good.
um, that was before, and you remember that was around the time they had just started putting parental
Mm-hmm.
stickers on albums.
That's
So
right.
for Dre, they didn't have it. So they didn't care how old you were, they just
Oh,
whatever. With Dog Food, that was in '95. So it was a couple years later.
that's right.
And when I went to go buy it, they were like, hey man. And my
You're not
mom was in there.
18.
They're like, you're not 18. They said that you had to have your mom come over here and purchase it for you. And she came to the table. She's like, yeah, it's okay. She was like, ma'am, do you know that there's songs on here? Like, and she's reading the fucking track list. And she says, like, bomb ass pussy. I'm like, whoa, what are you
And
saying?
this,
Like,
but that
yeah,
means your
like
mom's cool though.
she was cool with it, man. She was cool, like because I think my sister graduated in '92, so she was already kind of used to it. She
Okay.
knew what hip hop was, and she was actually a fan. She was actually a fan. She actually liked Snoop. She liked his voice. He was one like not the good ones, but like she was the one that she knew about. Um, so it was a pass. I think it. Funny enough, I think that's what made her say, "Oh, okay, Snoop and them. Okay, yeah, that's fine. Like whatever. Like I know it's gonna be lyrics on there, but to her credit, she dealt with that with Richard Pryor, like all the
Yeah.
comedians,
That's
comments and
true.
that shit. She kind of knew, like,
Yeah.
yeah, there's gonna be stuff with bad language, but he's gonna hear it anyway. So I think that was her reason behind it. Now, kind of similar to the way I do with my kids. Like when I listen to streaming services now, before I would kind of like, okay, I'm just gonna listen to the clean version or like whatever. But now I just kind of let it fly. If I'm listening to something, I'll let my son hear it, and he's the one like, ooh, I'm like, yeah, you don't want to say that, you don't want to say that out and about, you don't want to say that at school or whatever. If you say it to me, I'm gonna let you pass, but we're not gonna have a dialogue like that back and
No
forth. So if you
talking. Yeah.
say it, I'm gonna give you the pass. But and for me, I feel like that's that connection that we can have is like, yo, man, like we I'm cool. I'm not gonna stomp on your CDs. I'm not going
Yeah.
to keep you away from it. I'm not going to shelter you because you're going to see it and hear it anyway. I just
Yeah.
rather you do it with me if that's the case. You know what I mean?
I'm the same way with my
That's
son.
love.
He doesn't like he's the type that if he sees it, he'll be like, look what it says. And if I get mad, like somebody cuts me off or something, I'm like, oh, you fucking jackass. And then he'll be like, Poppy, sorry, man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
but for the most part, I usually bite my tongue.
Yeah,
But if he hears me mad, then which is
let it
rare, but
loose.
yeah, it is
Yeah,
what it is. Yeah,
you can't stop them. They're gonna hear it eventually, man.
yeah. Man, I truly appreciate you.
Oh, no problem, man.
I don't know. I had a great time. I
I
tried
did
to,
too, man. I
yeah.
did too, man. You can see I'm already past. I got to start prepping in a minute, but
That's why I'm
I
trying to
wanted
tell
the
you.
conversation flow, man, and I didn't want to interrupt that, man. This is I'm again honored to be a part of this, and I'm glad that you selected me to be on, man. And I enjoyed myself in having a conversation. And a couple of things are, whether you know it or not, is just a, a reconfirmation for me. Um, to not stop. You know what I'm saying? And not that I have plans to, but it's like sometimes you can get in your own head and think that you want things to go a certain way and you have certain expectations that you put in yourself. But the things that I've seen that resonate with people the most is just not necessarily caring and letting it fly because your intentions are going to be pure anyway. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And that's what's
Yeah.
going to resonate with people. So instead of holding back and not shining that light, you got to put it out there, man, and let it affect people the way it's gonna affect people. You know what I mean? And if it's it's pure, it's gonna be pure. So I appreciate the conversation, man. And anything I can do to help out, you already know I'm gonna call or text away. You can find me, reach me, access me, consider me a resource, bro.
Hey, it goes both ways. I'm just like I told you, I'm not a phony dude. So like like I said, this came from the heart.
Yeah,
You can look at my the stories solutions, you can look at my guests. You'll see like just the
yeah,
conversations. It I'm not gonna I'm not a guy like it's like, oh, I gotta get this person for views.
yeah,
This is for me,
yeah.
um it's like wonderful for me to think like, wow, man, I'm talking to you, and it's like, as I envisioned beforehand, I thought
Mm,
first I was nervous, and then I was like, I don't know why I'm nervous. I feel like I'm
yeah,
gonna be talking to my brother, and
man.
I don't have a brother, but I mean that's what and just even when I'm on the Instagram
Live.
with you, yeah.
Yeah,
So I appreciate you, and just keep doing what you're doing, and I'll support you any which way, So it's just the way it is,
yeah.
I just
Thank you,
appreciate
man.
it.
And when you get that job, man, I'm gonna need you to look out for me. Maybe in 10 years, bro, you might get that program director job, and you might be able to put homegrown on the map again.
Oh yeah,
Hey, so it's love, man.
I might surprise you. I'll tell you off air,
Okay,
but I'm gonna be doing something with film. So
okay,
yeah,
nice, man.
yeah.
I look
So
forward to it, man. I look forward to the journey, man. And again, you being an example of not just not giving up, but that it's never too late, man. As long as you
yeah.
got a passion for something, put it out there, let the people see it, and just lead by that, bro. Always do that, man, because that's inspiring itself, man. And to people that may see you for the first time or have interactions with you, or like myself, man, being a guest on here is definitely inspiring, bro. So I appreciate you for having me on the platform, and I look forward to many more, bro.
Thank you so much. And you have a great evening, and I'll be listening to you in a little while.
My God, I appreciate you, man. Have a good night.
You too. Take care.
Peace.
Peace.